Hi friends, it's Sarah from Ruffles and Rain Boots. I'm gonna go fast, but stick with me. We're gonna make a gingerbread door garland. I'm gonna give you two patterns, one to make this little gingerbread cookie cutout and one to make the vintage or old world style gingerbread splayed man. You choose whichever you want, print it off, cut it out. We're gonna need some pins and clips. We're gonna need some material. I'm using drop cloth. This is not bleached, it's from the hardware store. I pressed it in my heat press so that it would be flat and straight. You can use other fabric as well and thinner fabrics with interfacing. You're going to need some stuffing, some scissors, a hot glue gun, and if you want, a sewing machine. Now for those of you who are hot gluing, listen carefully. You are going to do it a little bit different. For those of us who are sewing, you're just going to trace this and sew along the line. For those of you who are hot gluing, you are going to add a border to this 1/4 inch so that you can glue 1/4 inch on the inside. So you'll follow the outside cut, just 1/4 inch on the inside, because this is a fraying fabric and we want it to fray. I'm going to use a pencil so you can see it, but you can also use chalk to trace it. So I'm just going to pin the fabric in place and then I'm going to trace this on. Now, for those of you hot gluing, this is anything I'm doing here you can do without a sewing machine. Most of my patterns and all the free ones and the premium ones, I try and make sure that even if you don't want to lug out that sewing machine, you can still do it. And for those of you who have not sewn since home ec in high school, I've got you. We're just top stitching. There's no turning. There's no measuring. We're just going to follow the pattern, like literally what we are tracing right now. We're just going to line our needle up. Now, I do recommend you don't make that dark of a stitching, but here's the best part. If you're using a working fabric like drop cloth, you can just erase it. Those pearl erasers work better than my little pencil eraser, but you can see it's lighter than it was before. Now I'm going to get my sewing machine out. Again, if you are hot gluing, you're going to trace that, cut it with a 1/4 inch outer seam, and then glue 1/4 inch on the inside. Sewers, you're just going to stitch along that line. Now, I'm going to, both of you need to be sure to leave the part open on the pattern that says leave open so we can stuff it. And then that's it. For my sewers, we're going to start where that red pin is, and we're going to be sure to start our stitches. So we 1, 2, 3 forward, and then we at least go 2 back. And there's a little reverse button on your sewing machine. Okay, press that. And just go a couple back. And then I'm going to show you exactly what I'm doing here. I am turning the piece. I am lifting up the presser foot if it gets bunched up, but most of the time I'm going slow enough that it's not getting bunched up at all. So you can see I'm going to skip this part, but it takes literally like a minute and a half to sew it. So once you're at the end, you're going to reverse your stitches as well. And we're going to put this aside. So you can see here, I have followed this exactly. Let me show you. You see the white thread? I followed it exactly. I am going to show you when you don't follow it exactly, the world does not end. And for those of you who asked me about this last time, yeah, I'm not buying anything else. This is called Gomi Craft. This is the softest fluff. I'm really happy with it. I like how it's not breaking down. I like if I overstuff, it actually bounces back. So I am going to cut the little fabric out of this. It just makes it easier to stuff, and I'm lazy, okay? I'm going to give you every shortcut that I take because crafting should be fun, not stressful. All right, so I'm just going to stuff this in. I'm going to speed that up because you don't need to know that. But I will tell you, I took a little care to make sure that I put quite a bit of stuffing in each arm, in the head, and even in both of the feet. Because of where we left that opening, you can overstuff those areas and the tummy, and then move that stuffing around after you close the little opening. Isn't that nice? Love that for us. So once you have enough stuffing in here, you can see I'm just overstuffing the tummy. I know it looks a little ridiculous, but now all we're going to do, making sure we've got all our little hands and feet all stuffed up, all we're going to do is close it up with the sewing machine. Again, we're going to top stitch, starting where we left off. I like to overlap 1 or 2 stitches right here. You don't even need to pin it. And by the way, if you're worried if your sewing machine can get through it, it can, I promise. So once we have that, we've reversed our stitches at the end as well. Now's the fun part. We're going to cut these little strings off. Honestly, I forget to do that half the time, so I'm making a point to put it in my video. Move around our stuffing. making sure it goes all the way into the tips of the feet and the little arms. Now we're going to trim. Remember that 1/4 inch I was talking about for those people who are hot gluing? That's what this is. Now you are cutting a 1/4 inch. It's just basically, you do it in the beginning or you do it at the end. Either way, you have to do it. Take a little care when you're coming in here to the smaller bits. Just make sure you don't snip any stitches. And then even if you mess up, watch. Woo! Messed up on that one. We're going to trim it in just a second, so it's fine. Once you have it all trimmed is the fun part. You're just going to squish it in your hands, rub it around, and fray those edges. And all I did is just take my fingernail around the edges and fray those up. Doo-doo-doo. Now you have a little gingerbread man without the bow. So we'll get to that. Clean up your mess, Sarah. And now I'm going to see that little dark area that I left so I could see. You can just erase it. All right, once that is done, I'm going to show you another one that I did where I did not follow the stitching. So those two follow the stitching. You can see they're the exact same size. Now look at this one. See where those white edges are? About, I don't know, 1/8 of an inch away from the edges? Guess what? No one's gonna tell. You're just gonna erase it and no one's gonna be the wiser. Don't worry about it. So once I had all 3 of those stuffed, I started my indecision extravaganza. I hate wearing this apron, but I love the look of it. And I thought, oh, I'll use it. But then it's a little too much neutral. So I decided I could also use ribbon. You can use ribbon, but I'm going to go ahead and use fabric. I may have mentioned I'm doing a gingerbread kitchen, and I'm just going to use all the coordinating colors because the brown and white is beautiful, but it gets old. I cut 28 inches by 3.5 inches. You can tell that's 14 inches folded, so that's 28. And then you can see that's 3.5. And that's going to be out of home decor fabric. I'm going to flip up the end. I'm going to top stitch it because that hemmed it. I'm going to flip down the top and I'm going to top stitch it. And then I'm going to fold it in half so I can find the center line, fold one side to that center line, and then fold the other in halfway and then over until it reaches the edge. I'm going to show you in just a second a little closer up for those of you who do not sew. This is the easiest way to get a sturdy piece without having to add any interfacing. So I'm just going to pin this up here. Again, that's folded to the halfway point. Then I'm going to take this other half and I'm going to fold it halfway and then fold it all the way over to the other edge. See, I'm folding it halfway and then folding it in. That right there, we're just going to top stitch down either side of it before we create a loop. I promise you, if you use a 1 to 1.5 inch ribbon, you're going to save about 15 minutes. But the whole craft took me about a little less than 40 minutes to do. So not a long craft, great for an afternoon, cold day, rainy day, or when you want to craft in your PJs and fuzzy socks. I don't know. I'm not judgy. I'm in fuzzy socks right now, even though it's going to be 90 degrees in mid-November here in Texas. I know, we all can cry together. So I just folded over the top for a loop because I'm going to put a suede cord there to loop it over my doorbell, and it still sits flat. So here's my long piece of fabric, and now I'm going to take my gingies, and I'm just going to measure out. Measure is a strong word. I eyeballed the distance. So if you want to measure it out, be my guest. Now, you can sew these on, but I'm lazy, and I'm going to use a hot glue gun. Because I'm lazy. So I just made 1/4 inch little ticking stripe ribbon bows. I dovetailed the edge, almost got my finger there. And then I glued those on. Again, you can sew these on. If you are selling, maybe you do want to sew these on or add some jingle bells or whatever else you want to add. But you can absolutely use this to sell items as well. All right, so I'm going to hot glue the body on, making sure it's all exactly centered the way I want, but I do recommend also gluing down all the way to the little bottom area and the head, because when you pick it up, you don't want them to like lean. I don't know if that makes sense. I don't want them to lean, so I'm gluing them all that way, all 3 of them right on here. And then here you can see, I just shake it to make sure everything's on there. And then I saw that this one moved a little. And so I'm going to put a little hot glue right there. And then look, whasha, sound effects included free of charge. And there it is. I just tied on a little suede cord and popped it into my kitchen where the pantry is. And that's it for me today. I'm going to put the link down below for the free patterns, so go grab that. No sign up needed. Please like this video, share this video, and subscribe for more crafting fun.